Hoorah! Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming in today. Welcome back to East Coast Insight. I'm your host, Kenji Shimada from Rolling Mike Studio. Another wonderful episode today. Today I've got Andrew Antonopoulos from Cinch, Jack Young from Neurocore, and Eden Shirley from Auto Guru to jump on and have a chat, community updates. Let's get into it. First and foremost, thank you to Josh Clouston for hosting East Coast Insight. He helped us out, CMD Software. Appreciate it. Let's get into it. For my first guest is going to be Mr. Andrew Antonopoulos. Andrew is from Cinch, who introduced AI technology to the R&D tax incentive space to support founders and innovative companies to more easily and confidently claim government funding. Now, he's going to talk into a little bit about what that's been. So, Andrew, welcome to the show, mate. How you doing?
Thanks, Kenji. I'm good. Sounds better when you read it. That's awesome.
That's the name of the game, man. Well, yeah. Tell us about. Obviously, Cinch has been working in the R&D space for a while now. You've been building. It seems like at the moment, governance record keeping tools and AI integrations is a big portion of what you're building. Tell us about
Mm.
that.
First, that R&D tax incentive landscape, it's been around for over 30 years now. And Cinch was always trying to build like a SaaS product to enable record keeping. They used to say make record keeping sexy again, but Jesus, that was a hard task to do. So a lot of it was a bit of manual entry. We've got all the record keeping tools, timesheets, activity reports, fit for purpose. And we spent years building and sort of promoting that. With the introduction of AI, we've been able to incorporate a lot of that kind of agentic workflow into our technology that now we can kind of take away a lot of the manual entry. We can remove a lot of the barriers to compliance. So we used to have a tool that a few people loved to use, but a lot of people thought it was just a bit too hard. And now we've got a tool that just seamlessly works with your workflows. Super cool.
Yeah, and because what's that like with using the tool you've been building? Obviously, all the back end of R&D, all the things that you're getting from people that are putting claims in. You've also got the tool that can help to optimize whether some of the stuff you're working on in your business is R&D claimable as well.
Yeah, I think I love professional services. That's been my career. My old business is behind me. For anyone that knows, that's my bear head. But I've since sold that business. And professional services is usually human related. Obviously, the human is the lawyer, the accountant in the room. So we've spent the last probably 18 months trying to replicate the professional service experience using AI interfaces. So a lot of the time, clients will do their work in the evenings. Founders kind of have a 7-day week, most of them. They find whatever time they have available. So now we've got this agentic workflow, this AI tool that they can talk to, very similar to ChatGPT, but it's obviously more data secure. The data sovereignty is important to us, security. And now what we're finding is clients can interact on their terms and their language and their time, don't have to pay for it, not have to wait for answers. And we kind of then put all that capability in a company's pocket. They can do their own assessments of eligibility. They can do their own kind of updates on what they're doing in the system. And it just kind of, yeah, enables that whole value without having the time and the, I guess, investment that's required for a person.
Yeah, have you noticed that when people are using Sinch or sort of, working with the AI that you've built, that they're noticing more things are claimable, or they're just trying to figure out where the lines are of what is claimable, what is R&D?
We started with consultants first. So there's an industry of R&D consultants, the traditional professional service. They've gone in and they've found that Cinch is actually really good at doing the investigations that they miss. So sometimes we're looking at 50 documents, 100
Mm,
documents, and they're finding not necessarily that core eligibility, because advisors are really good at that. It's all the supporting stuff, the stuff that's kicking around the business. So we're finding a lot more, and now our users, our companies are doing the same, Kenji. And then
mhm.
whatever we can find for those activities, obviously we layer in the expenses. So the short answer is yes, we absolutely 100% are. The long answer is it's a bit of a leapfrog approach to finding more.
Yeah,
Um,
because you're trying to get to that sort of end-to-end platform, right? Where you got the AI first professional services into that industry.
yeah. Well, as much as I can put technology in the hands of companies, clients, then you're reversing that workflow. Usually I would have to go in as your consultant, and I'd have to troll through your files. I'd have to meet all your staff. I'd have to sit down with all the employees. Usually I would be a pest. I'd take 2 weeks of your time that nobody wanted to spend with me. This dude's just rocking up to ask us questions and he doesn't understand what I'm doing.
Mm.
And we reverse that now and say, well, if you use a technology solution like Cinch, then nobody's got to come to your office because you're at the source at the time. You're compiling and collating the whole thing. The hard and the challenge we have right now is getting AI to read it, understand it, compartmentalize all the eligibility components, like suck out the financial parts of it without having the company invest a significant amount of their time. There's too many
Mm.
systems around. Systems fatigue was a line I learned repetitively over the last number of years is we're sick and tired of systems fatigue. So now AI is going to hopefully alleviate that.
Well, and also, like you said, if it's that portal that you can interact with in your own time, right? Like
Mm,
you said, time is precious for a lot of people that are, especially in the innovation space. If you are constantly building and refining all these points, it's pretty challenging to always talk to the consultant and be like, I think it was this bit, I think it was this bit, whilst if you're doing it, you can log
mm.
it.
But not underestimating the value of that R&D tax incentive. So
Mm.
the time and effort spent on doing it at the end of the day is a non-dilutive injection, like an amount of cash that's available to these startups that they don't have to give away equity, they don't have to pay it back. All they have to do is comply. So a big thing, like I mean, R&D tax is probably the lifeblood of startups at the moment. Venture capital's hard, debt funding's a bit non-existent. Many of founders, they've already mortgaged their house. They're sort of running out of capital options. And
Mm.
you've got this government incentive that's sitting there going, we'll chip back into your company to get you to that next stage. But what we want you to do is X, Y, and Z. And it's record keeping, it's governance, and it's compliance. So that's what we built. So when you're kind of refining it and working with it and investing whatever time you can, do it the best you possibly can. There's a check at the end of it. It's a completely different story. It's not tax compliance. There's physical cash that companies can inject into their bank accounts. And using a technology like Cinch's, they can confidently get that money and not have an audit risk.
And would you say that like because it's about governance, record keeping, like it seems like if you start to do all those things right, obviously to get the R&D tax to come in, cash injection back into the account, but you mentioned a few other options, there's debt financing, there's venture capital, there's all these other fundraising options, but it seems like if you were to have that record keeping, you were to have that cash flow, you were able to capture what's going inside the business, it makes those other things easier.
100%. It also makes them less expensive. So R&D tax is beautiful, and then there's a lending product out there. Now they'll lend you money against your R&D tax incentive. So you kind of double up that bit of cash.
Right.
Why I say it's less expensive is when you go to raise equity, you raise from venture capital, family offices, family and friends, you're at a higher valuation milestone because you've invested your own money, you've invested some government incentives, you've probably then chipped away at some different traction or market traction or whatever product market fit. And then when you're going into the VCs, you've got I don't know, more mature product, you got more data. And then
Mm.
equally, I say to all the founders that give me a chance to speak with them, when you go and get $1 million from a VC, you tell them you're going to spend that $1 million on R&D and you use Cinch. So that's going to turn into 1.435. So to the extent
True.
you're getting money,
True.
investing in R&D, this R&D tax incentive, as long as you're doing it and you comply, it's always available to you.
Yeah, like you said, in that startup space, right? It's all innovation. It's all time spent crunching, bringing something new to the table.
The problem is without Cinch, it tends to be very retrospective. It tends to be very
I
manufactured.
think I did something that day.
Well, I mean, it's human nature, and startups are so fast. Like
Yeah.
today, Kenji, if I said to you as a founder, what did you do in July 2024? Because we're going to look at documenting your evidence from July 2024, you'd have no clue.
Yeah.
Actually, you and I might because we have some memories from back in the day. But when it's that sort of minute detail,
Yeah. And
if you
especially
don't
like you said,
capture
it's about compliance. So like that's a different level of documentation, right?
that,
Yeah.
so that's the technology. I guess the challenge is always getting people to use it, getting people to kind of create positive behaviors and good compliance rhythms. And I don't care how many names I can give it. I'm still asking people to introduce compliance technology, and that's always hard.
For sure. Well, something that's coming in Cinch in the next couple of months that we can look forward to for the next update.
That's that full vertical integration. So hard to get clients to use a compliance system. So I'm going to pilot. I'm going to pilot the idea that you don't have to do the compliance. The AI now can infiltrate whatever systems that are the source of your documents, and
Mm.
we can workflow that whole solution back to a consultant like myself.
Mm-hmm.
And if successful, the pilot's my own hypothesis. My own hypothesis is the AI will be capable of interrogating all of a company's data and distilling that for a consultant to have a really quick, brief overview of what's going on, so that we can just keep nudging that down the river.
Oof, in a landscape where data it's almost like gold, it seems like it's a nice place to make sure it's all compiled in the one place. But thanks, man, Andrew. Like I said, always love the product, love what you're working on. Appreciate you jumping in. Excited for the next update when I see you. But Cinch, I got all the links in the show description. Check
Spelled
them
my
out,
name
guys.
wrong, Kenji. I got
God,
the U in the wrong spot.
don't look it.
It's live. Love your work,
Appreciate
buddy.
it,
Love your
man.
work.
I'll speak to you soon, buddy. Thanks for joining. Bye.
Cheers, man. Bye.
Ooh, right. Lovely. Thank you so much, Andrew. Like I said, check him out if you're in need for R&D or compliance, tracking all those expenditures. Now, talking about compliance and governance, my next guest coming on, I've got Mr. Jake Young. He has a business called Neurocore, and Neurocore is changing the game for regulated industry around compliance and the usage of AI agents. So everyone's using AI agents inside the business, outreach, internal, etc. And there's lots of regulations that maybe we are not aware of. So I've got Mr. Jake Young here, who's been building a product for a while now, and had a lovely chat with Jake to understand Neurocore. Welcome to the show, mate.
Thanks, man. Thanks for welcoming me and having me on.
No worries.
A bit of insight to Cinch. That was really good. Love seeing people doing similar things, especially in regard to compliance. It's no one really wants to work on compliance. It's a bit of a headache. So if you can solve it with technology, it's massive for the industry and anyone a part of it. So yeah, I'm happy to be here and happy to chat a bit about what I'm doing.
Yeah, can you share to us a little bit about what Neurocore is? Because when we were chatting, to me, it seemed like, because there's a lot of usage with AI tools right now in business. You can use it to, outbound call. You can do all these stuff to, connect with customers or potential clients that are coming to the door. But, there's still a lot of rules and regulations about what you can and can't do. And you might be missing certain things if you're using these tools, and then that could sort of put you into a difficult situation. It seems like Neurocore can sit in that middle to make sure that what goes through is all above board.
Yeah, so like AI, I'll just say this: in outbound regulated industries, so any industry that adds a call business to client, that outbound dial, there's a lot of compliance issues that have to be compliant before you can make that dial. But then also in the industry, speed to lead is very important, because faster you can get to a lead, the higher the conversion rate is of that lead. So these people don't have time to check the right boxes and tick all the compliance before that call, and that's where the breaches are happening. Like I don't know, I won't name names, but there was a recent big lawsuit that a big company got fined for selling to vulnerable people. So that's one aspect. There's do not call register, there's lawful hours, there's anti-hawking DDO, there's all sorts of things, and that's just the outbound regulation, the outbound call. Now, basically, Neurocore sits in the middle of all that, and we filter all that, and we actually get everything checked within 50 milliseconds. So before that dial even happens, we actually check and make sure the dial is compliant. If it's not compliant, we block it. Like, we won't even allow the dialer to dial. Where every other system in place at the moment is all about rectification, and which is after the call. The call's already happened. They've got Q&A teams or AI systems that actually listen to the calls and go over everything and then check for any breaches, and then it's a rectification. So the breach has already happened. The company's lost trust all the above. So that's where I came in, and I wanted to actually prevent the breaches from happening in real time. So that was one thing. And, the use of AI agents, that AI is the hot thing. We all, everyone wants it. The hardest thing is being educated around it. And that's probably the biggest thing with compliance, I believe, because there's not enough education around AI, or people aren't getting educated on the use of AI. So everyone's just rapidly trying to deploy it and not thinking about how to deploy it safely. So that's where, like Cinch and myself and anyone else working in those spaces, trying to make them compliant and just put the brakes on them a bit. That's what I like to say. So, if these companies wanted to start using AI sales agents to do these outbound dialing, my software will make sure that AI stays on track, because AI being probabilistic means it can hallucinate. An hallucination means it can go off script. It could sell the wrong product. It could give away a discount. All these things. It's just a probabilistic, so it's a hallucination. It means it's not doing it as it's coded to do. All my software is actually deterministic, so it's mathematically coded, and it's got laws that it has to go to. Basically, if it doesn't go to that law, then there's
Yeah, I
nothing.
was going to say that it's similar to Cinch, where Andrew's built all that back end filtering, all the R&D tax law and everything that these things have to be compliant and working within. Yours is within the usage of these tools, technologies to make sure that whatever you do implement stays on track, right?
Yeah, very similar in certain circumstances, and it was really nice to hear him chat actually and learn a lot more about the R&D incentives that the software he's making for it anyway, because definitely needed. R&D is pretty new, and like he said, it's probably the blood and bone for a lot of founders, because it can be hard to start up. Like, for myself, I'm bootstrapping. I haven't had any VCs or anything. I want to bootstrap as long as possible. But yeah, basically you got to have that back end all coded on rule sets. So then that's its data. That's what it's trained on. It doesn't know any other way. It can't get any other way, So that's what my system does. If it cannot prove compliance, then the dial won't go ahead, which means that company won't breach those compliance regulations. And the other thing my software does actually is quite important. It actually generates an audit grade evidence ledger for every single contact made. So if it's pass or block, whatever it may be, it will generate evidence for their team to have that evidence. Say when ASIC or APRA come knocking, they've got a full evidence ledger of all their contacts made, why they went through, timestamp, everything, so they're fully compliant, and we're just making things, it's about making it people's jobs easier and safe scale, they can scale safely with the use of AI or the use of technology, and that's what it's about.
Well, it seemed like, yeah, when we were chatting and, like you said, speed to the lead is these critical factors, right? And, it could seem like, something that's going to, quote, slow me down to get to this lead. Is it something that I would like? Is it going to make it more challenging? But as we sort of dug into it, it's like, well, it's actually going to make, well, in my understanding, it would make it easier because there's so many new tools out there and there's so many things that are cool and shiny that maybe you want to plug in and give it a shot, try it out inside of your business structures. And then if you were to have something that makes sure that whatever's going out, like you said, it's got all the T's and C's, the I's and the T's crossed, that it's like you get a bit of a insurance, you get a bit more comfort knowing that whatever you implement is going to be aligned to legislation and law and all those sort of governments.
100%. You're spot on there. Like, if you could know that you're going to be able to safely call someone and not have rectifications of that call, it makes sense to do so, right? Like, we're not intentionally out there to breach compliance. Like, no one knows these rules inside and out either, because there's lots of dot points in every single regulation. You're not going to read through that book. And the sales agents, we're human at the end of the day too. Human error is a big thing. So like, if you had a system in place that you knew was going to do all that automatically for you, it'd make sense to use it. Therefore, you're never going to lose trust from your company. Clients are going to want to trust you. because you're abiding to every regulation possible. It's just a bit of a no-brainer in that sense. But it's kind of interesting to see compliance changing in this regard after hearing about Cinch 2. We're trying to adapt and overcome, and I think that's important. I think data sovereignty and compliance is massive with AI. That's what we should be thinking about. A lot of people are thinking about what all the good things and scaling and the rest of it, all the revenue they're going to make, but no one's stopping and they're thinking, hey, how do we do it safely though? So that's what's important, I feel, and we need more people looking at it from that angle.
Yeah, and like you said, that you've got your MVP build, you got some hires that have come on board as well. You got a CIO that has jumped on board recently.
Yeah, pretty exciting. I managed to land Dean Cleary. Hope he's happy for me to mention that, but he was
late now, Dean.
Yeah, it's a former chief information officer from AMP.
Yeah.
That was a massive hire. I was hoping to get him on board because banking vertical is going to be pretty critical for my software. Makes a lot of sense for them to utilize it. And then also Chanel, she's going to be the head of governance. She has a strong background in financial services, ASIC, APRA governance and regulation. So she's going to be a strong help with keeping everything solid on my end as well, and making sure we are going to all these regulations and code and everything else. So just making some traction and looking to launch next month, which I'm excited about. It's coming around quick and things are just rapidly moving and I'm loving it.
Yeah, awesome. Are you going to have also international sort of traction? I think we're talking about going into US as well.
Yep. So I've actually got a law firm in the US that's pretty interested. We're in discussions at the moment. So I will be expanding straight into the US. That'll be my next chapter. How quickly I do so will depend on this client. But I'm more concentrated on Australia here because ASIC, we've got some tough regulations, known around the globe. So if I can, we can make it work here, then we can make it work anywhere. So that's why I really wanted to get it launched here and make it perfect it here, and I know it's going to work around the globe. So it's big things coming. I've actually just got some interest from a major telco on the weekend too, so that's going to be interesting. And just things keep moving rapidly, and I'm excited for it, man. It's awesome.
And is there anything you need or you're currently looking for at the moment, people you'd like to connect with that you're currently looking for?
That's a tough one, Kenji. I'm very open, man. I'm very open to networking with like-minded individuals. I mean, all for the growth, all for the learning, all for networking. So if anyone finds what I'm doing interesting, I'm happy to meet up. Or if anyone wants some help and I can help in any way, I will. I believe in giving back, and I just want to see everyone succeed. So whatever the case, at the moment, I think I'm doing pretty well, and I've got hired the right people to enforce what we got, and just to keep moving along one step at a time. My next job is to try and land a government contract, so I'll be looking for partners in that space and how I can move forward there.
Dope, man. Awesome. Well, looking forward to hearing when the launch is happening, etc., and when it's going to be running through some businesses. Keen to hear it, man. So thanks so much.
Man, watch your space for sure.
Yeah, appreciate it, dude. Thanks so much for joining me, man. Appreciate it, and I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, take care, man. I appreciate it.
Thanks, mate. Bye. Oh, man. So much going on at the moment, and this is where it's getting pretty exciting at the moment. What's happening inside of this, not just Gold Coast ecosystem, but what's happening in Australia right now. There's just so many companies and people building some interesting things that have just such a massive capacity to scale right now. And I think, next guest coming on, we'll have Eden soon, but there's just, technology. It's an interesting place where it gives you that infrastructure and it gives you that capacity to take it global, like Jake was just mentioning, same with Andrew, how you can start to really optimize all these tools and processes that are happening and make sure, God, even just what Jake was saying before of like governance or like staying above board, like how much easier that can just make life knowing that you got your ass covered, and that's obviously the nature of insurance, etc. But it is, yeah, it's so cool to see that we've got these tools that, in terms of cinch, that we can make sure that things stay on track and things are moving forward and we get that money back. Because how many of you guys are out there doing, development inside of your businesses, innovating? And like Andrew said, what happened a few years ago? What did you do? What did you spend it on? And you're like, well, I actually can't remember, where is that 43% of the expenditures that you've done? So those are a few things that are just important. And speaking of important and growth, I've got Mr. Eden Shirley here. Eden is from AutoGuru, AutoGuru is the Australian's #1 marketplace for car servicing and repairs. And in 2022, Eden and the team, they launched Fleet Guru, which is a pioneer in the AI-led maintenance operations, transforming how fleet management companies and service providers maintain complex vehicle fleets. Now, I know that Eden and the team have had a huge growth inside of the business, new team members coming on and a few interesting pathways. So I'm going to get Eden to jump on and share what's going on. Thanks for jumping on the show, Eden.
Hey, how you doing, Kenji?
Yeah, good, mate. So like we just mentioned, you've been scaling the team from 42 to 65 plus, at the moment. And there is, lots happening inside of it right now with Fleet Guru coming out to be, having 7 of the top 10 fleet management companies using this platform. What's this journey been like, mate?
I mean, it's really good fun when you're scaling fast. AutoGuru has been around for 11 plus years, so we've sort of had a growth as a B2C marketplace, raised fairly significant bit of capital there, and had incredible growth, during its tenure as the lead product. And look, we were in the Deloitte Tech Vals 50 and AFR Most Innovative quite a few times. Then in 2022, we launched Fleet Guru, which was post-COVID, looking at, the opportunities to enter the B2B SaaS market. And look, the growth has been quite extraordinary. So, rather than going sort of door to door, selling our software to companies operating large fleet vehicles, we decided to look to the largest fleet companies in the market, typically the companies that finance the vehicles to the companies that operate the vehicles. And so there are 9 very large ones. There's about 40 in Australia, but the top 9 are very significant. And we currently have 7 of the top 9. So the first FMC took 2 years to sort of land. The next one took, about 14 months, maybe, just over a year. And last year we launched 4. So it was hectic.
Yeah, right.
Everybody worked hard, but there's a huge amount of satisfaction you get when you can see, all the effort that you put in over years and years, and this pivot's obviously going for a little while. Just the energy lifts, in the team when things are going well. We've had the pleasure of getting you in a few times. You can really tell there's a bit of spark going on at AutoGuru at the moment. So I would have said it's energizing. Scaling fast is energizing.
Yeah, we were talking about technology and what it can do for a business, and you guys have been building AutoGuru for quite some time, like you said, 10, 11 years, and you've been accumulating this beautiful pool of data that now is really sort of helping to take Fleet Guru to the next, not just take it to the next level, but you're able to serve a larger market with this, right?
Yeah, look, we are, so you're absolutely right. We sit on a significant data lake. I looked at the numbers the other day. We've got over or just coming up to, $1 billion worth of transactions sitting in there. And literally, I think there were 900 million part price variances or changes, like just huge amounts of data sitting in there on both quoting a vehicle and transacting a vehicle. And why that's really interesting for us is because we're now deep into our AI evolution of our product. And the beautiful thing about AI is it can do, incredible things in and around predictive decisioning and, pricing models that far exceed, what we could do before. So, it's allowing us to make, build in incredible new capabilities in and around forecasting and automation, reporting, and then analysis that are just taking our product to the next level. And I guess, when you're dealing with B2C, a one-on-one relationship where you're talking to a customer and you're helping them find, a great mechanic that they can trust for a good price, that is a much easier task, or at least the problems are 100x bigger when you're dealing with a company that has, 2,000 vehicles. And for us, the fleet management companies have 20,000 vehicles to 100,000 vehicles. They're the data that they need, the insights that they need, and the automation that they're seeking are just, light years apart. So, that data lake is incredibly powerful and valuable to the business.
And so does that mean Fleetguru is really starting to create a platform where pretty much all those fleet management companies will start to onboard their structures on top of, so that they can start to utilize those predictive models, they can start to optimize their capabilities of their fleets, and it kind of like becomes infrastructure inside of that industry?
100%, you nailed it. So, and a really quick version of this, before Fleetguru, there's some 10,000 plus service providers in Australia that do fleet work. They're typically the bigger brands like the OEMs or the dealer groups, Toyota and Ford and the like, or large groups like MyCar and Bridgestone. And then a whole myriad of independents would ring. They'd ring these fleet companies up and say, hey, we've got this vehicle in here. We need to do this, this, and this to it. The quote's going to be $780. Can I get an authorization? And so Fleetguru came along and digitized that process so they can all log in, create an instant quote, shoot it off to the fleet management company they want an authorization from, get it approved, get the job done. So we call it the plumbing, yeah, and it is it's basically digitizing very manual process and saves everybody time. The fleet management company saves time, and the service provider saves time. We actually pay the service provider quicker as well. Now what's happening is we've got this capability and it's digitized and the data is structured. And so now we are actually seeing FMCs, because we're an API first platform, we are, trying to encourage the FMCs to build technologies on our infrastructure. So we're a multi-tenant platform. We certainly provide, the platform that can fast track their ability to embellish, all of the operations that are going on, because the fleet management company has the client. So we're the interface between the service provider and the fleet management company, and the fleet management company is the interface between the fleet operator, and that could be anyone from a national grocery chain through to a, global e-commerce company through to a local plumber, that has 20 vans, a mining company, all sorts of companies. Like it's extraordinary to see the diversity in the fleets, but the fleet management company has that relationship. And so we're now working together, and there are definitely, some really exciting things starting to emerge in and around predictive analytics, total cost of ownership, or more specifically in our case, total cost of maintenance, forecasting, and really understanding, how much is going to be spent on that vehicle, not just based on what's in the logbook, but what likely repairs will happen. And you can even analyze it depending on whether the vehicle's regional or in the city,
really?
What sort of kilometers it's doing. And then finally, scheduling the vehicle. The fleet management company is the custodian of the car, because ultimately they own the car because they finance the car, but their client is operating the car. And so there's this relationship between the two where the custodian, the fleet management company, needs to advise the customer that they need to take it in for a service or do a repair, or they should change the battery now because the likelihood is it'll fail, and then you've got downtime. And all of these factors become really critical performance issues for the client, because if that vehicle's running efficiently, then it's making them money.
Yep.
And if it's down, or it needs repairs, or it's costing more than anybody thought it would, then everybody has a contingent liability around that. So, and then you've got compliance. So all of that mixed in together means that we're almost capturing and orchestrating and managing all of these, you know, I mean, we do 65,000 services a month now, which is extraordinary. So there's all these transactions happening, and then we distribute that back to the FMC, which is Fleet Management Company, and then they, you know, are building reports and building automation triggers on top of our stuff. So yeah.
Far out. It's kind of like mining companies, right? Like if they have to repair something, you know, they have to be like so quick. They need to know how to go in, out, close, because like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes of a machine shutdown is millions and millions of dollars.
Yeah. That's an extreme example, but
yeah,
you know, it is so true. And you know, it all comes back to, you know, is that vehicle operating? Is it making, you know, doing the business that it needs to do? So yeah.
Oh man. Now it's just the last few minutes, but the next 3 to 6 months, Eden, you are now elected president of AFMA. You've got a few new hires. Don't know how much you can talk about, but also, like you said, all this landscape is changing and Fleet Guru is growing. What's it going to look like for the next couple of months inside of Auto Guru, Fleet Guru?
Look, we've hit that, you know, and everyone talks about the growth pains that hit, you know, between 50 and 60. So we've definitely hit that. And a lot of the new hires are quite senior. They're coming in. Like, we've got a new head of technology that's basically going to be Barry, my co-founder and tech co-founders, 2IC. He's brilliant. He's come out of banking and finance. And, you know, we manage a lot of payments. So that's really important. We've got a new cyber executive. So someone joining the C-suite in a cyber capacity. And we're really excited about this role. We're, you know, we have an international outlook. We deal with incredibly, you know, large companies. We have a real responsibility. We don't carry PII, which is wonderful, and I'm, you know, really happy with that. But you know, we've got a lot of infrastructure, you know, that we really care deeply about our cyber. So we've got a new hire there. We've got a new head of design, product design, and she's coming in to build out our creative and product capabilities, which is going to be exciting. We've got quite a few other, you know, good senior roles, and we'll have some exciting news, you know, in the coming months, because we're definitely, you know, looking at our growth trajectory beyond ANZ. So we're in Australia. We scaled to New Zealand. That was a fantastic learning experience, by the way. You know, like, you know, we're an AWS, you know, instance with data sovereignty and, you know, single currency, single tax, all that sort of jazz. Even just moving to New Zealand, you know, we're going to think about multiple currency, multiple tax, different server, and New Zealand is a different setup there. Yeah. So it was a good learning experience. Fortunately, they speak English, but we, you know, we're making our platform multilingual currently.
Cool.
Which is super fun and super interesting.
Oh man, well, I could talk so much more about it, but keep it short, sharp, and sweet. Get you back on again next time. But thank you so much for joining me, Eden. Appreciate it, man. Exciting times, truly.
Wonderful.
Yeah, thanks so much, man. Appreciate it. Bye. Ooh, that's what I'm talking about. Ooh, exciting times. Technology, Australia. There is just, if you just don't know, you don't know, you know. But if you know what's happening underneath the hood, underneath the surface, and all these places, there is some cool stuff happening. There's some cool businesses, cool people building some cool shit here at the moment, and I am so excited to have some more guests next week. We're already lined up. I'll post about it in the end of the week. But thank you so much for joining me. East Coast Insights. Thank you to all my guests. Much appreciated. I shall see you again next week. Same time. Peace, peace, peace. Much love. Till next time, guys.